What's up guys, Andrew here with Astro Trends, taking a look at Palantir today. If you're new to the channel, what we do here is we combine astrological forecasting with traditional trend analysis to speculate on price movements in crypto and stock markets. Okay, so taking a look at the chart here, our last update was about a week ago, I think around the 22nd, so we're right about here. We've since continued this upward trend here, riding right above the moving averages on the day chart. Today, by the way, we're looking at it on June 30th, after market hours. And we've come against these this little bit of resistance here that we dropped on the last video. Just based on price movement back here, you know, it's a zone where we've bounced up and down a lot in the past. So we're bound to get tripped up a little bit here now. So looking into the next week or so, we're going to want to see ourselves maintaining this line down here as support, ideally pushing through this upper line of resistance. Most likely though, I see us bouncing around in here. We can maybe bounce down to a lower moving average. We're riding on top of the 9 here. And we have the 20 and 50 down here. We could maybe bounce and touch the 20 just for that confidence boost. You do see down here on the RSI on the daily chart, we're a bit oversold. We're about 75, 76. You could easily see we have come back down to 64, so we could bounce above 60 a few more times. It's not uncommon to see that, and make some higher highs, but I wouldn't be surprised to see ourselves get tripped up in here a little bit. Though I am still confident that we'll see an uptrend continue here and some pumps in the future. We'll get into the astrology of August in particular, where we're targeting for some new highs, like back here, at least reaching this previous high. Let's take a look at the astrology and see where that has left us. So over the last week or so, couple weeks, we've had Mercury retrograde in Gemini hanging out in this area. Squaring Neptune. That's coincided with some good price action. Neptune is a kind of dreamy, idealistic, higher octave of Venus. It's often seen. And Mercury is about communication, buzz, media coverage of the stock. So there's a lot of high hopes for Palantir, a lot of high expectations. Peter Thiel at the helm. We also see Venus and Mars approaching natal Venus here, and we've had, we've recently had Mars square Mercury and now Venus squaring Mercury the same time that we have Mercury squaring Neptune. So I think there's just a generally good vibe around the stock, high expectation, good coverage, high expectation of you know, investors are thinking this is going to be a stock that could be around a while, a company that may be around a while and may be highly successful. There's definitely it's definitely a company with high potential for the future, being focused on data analytics. Looking over the next couple of days though, we have the moon approaching in opposition to the sun, which isn't all that great, and immediately after, conjunction to Mars that also squares the stellium over here of Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn. So maybe not the greatest price action over the next couple of days. That's where we might see some bouncing around, bouncing our head off of this resistance here, as we did back in the same zone back here in December, and then again as we came down from this pump in February. But I do expect this to just be a transient blockage here as we make our way to this August, mid to late August target that we dropped in the last video, and we'll get into that astrology as well in a minute. But looking over the next couple of weeks, looks like we may see some volatility. I think that'll just be a continuation of our fight, our battle for these through these resistances and supports. as we have the sun opposing the stellium here. And the interesting thing about the stellium is it's a conjunction between Jupiter and Saturn, which are generally Jupiter's, one of the more bullish indicators, where Saturn's the one more bearish. Depending on the context, though, it can be reversed. But with them in the same area in the chart, it creates an interesting scenario for interpretation just because of their opposite contrary effects. So one possibility I was considering for this sort of configuration is perhaps it would be present in a chart of a company where you may see price action that opposes the general market or is resistant to the market trend, like perhaps a stock that where most of the other stocks in its same category, in technology in this case, and data analytics are moving downward, or the stock market in general is moving downward. You may see the stock resisting and moving upward. That's something I want to look at with other companies that had their IPO in a Jupiter-Saturn conjunction year. This is a conjunction that happens every 20 years. And incidentally, you also have Pluto here, which just adds intensity to any configurations or any contacts it's making. It also is Pluto's like a death and rebirth kind of archetype, so it can signal big moves upward and big moves downward. It can signal a price breakdown, but being co-present with Jupiter and Saturn, it's a really kind of volatile mixture there. So seeing the sun opposing it here as we move into early to mid-July, followed after by Mercury the next couple of weeks. At the same time that we have Mars, which is also volatile in itself, very heated, and Venus approaching conjunction to Venus, which is bullish. I do see more reason to expect some volatility, like a lot of volatility. But in the context of an overall uptrend, I just see us maybe moving through another, something like back here, some ups and downs, hitting our head on resistance, coming back down, testing support, before ultimately breaking out to a high. And I wouldn't be surprised to see an even bigger high than back here, overtaking 38 and 46 back there. So let's jump forward to our August 23rd target just to revisit our reason for dropping that line. July 19th here, I would expect to see, and maybe moving into the Sun-Venus midpoint here, when we have Venus and the Sun-Venus midpoint on August 4th. Let's drop another vertical there. We'll make that blue. I'd also expect to see some good price action around here. Like maybe we'd see a high and then a bounce and another high, or some Elliott wave type of price action playing out, making a high, little correction, making another high, building up to this August 23rd point that we dropped. Let's move forward to it. Yeah, also a really active, highly active point here on August 23rd. We have Mercury and Mars at the Venus Sun midpoint, and we have Sun conjunct Venus. It's actually passed in a few days. So August 21st, just as good of a target. With astrology, the days, it's anywhere within this range. It's hard to be exact because there's so many points. Every chart is different. Every chart is weighted differently. But in the ballpark of August 21st to 23rd, we just have this nice arrangement of Venus conjuncting the Sun and the Sun conjuncting Venus. And that's transiting Sun and transiting Venus conjunct natal Sun and natal Venus. Incidentally, at the same time, we have Mercury and Mars transiting the midpoint between them, which is a sensitive point. They're also opposed to Neptune, which can be kind of dreamy. So in this area around here, I expect to see some highs. I think it's not financial advice, of course, but we'll be checking in on Palantir pretty regularly building up to then, taking a look at it on the daily time frame, looking at the moon's action and the way that it affects price action. The moon is very quickly moving planetary body, so it can kind of speak to the day-to-day price action. So we'll be tracking that as we fight these resistances back here. So keep an eye out for that. Not financial advice as always, but if you enjoyed this video, give a like and subscribe, and keep an eye out for those updates, and let us know in the comments if there's another asset you'd like us to take a look at. Thanks.